Estimating a custom home build used to take me 24 to 36 hours, and I just did one in under 30 minutes, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Now, most builders have used some form of AI by now, probably ChatGPT, maybe Claude. And if you walked away thinking this thing doesn't speak my language, I get it. It doesn't know your trades, your labor rates, or really what's involved in a custom house build. And that objection used to be fair, but it's not anymore. Claude just released a new feature called Cowork, and it's having its ChatGPT moment right now. Hey, I'm Brian, and I was a professional remodeler and custom home builder for over 21 years. I've estimated well over 1,000 projects manually, and I truly can't believe how easy estimating has now become. So here's what I'm going to show you today: what Cowork is and how to access it, the prompt that makes AI think like a builder, a live estimate on a real set of drawings, and the real magic of showing you how to take this and turn it into a repeatable system that gets sharper every time you use it. Because this is now a true end-to-end system, from drawings to complete estimate in under 30 minutes. And if you want to try this exact system for yourself, I put the link in the description for you to download the skill and put it into your own Claude account. Now, before we build this skill live, let me show you exactly why this works. It's based on a structured 10-step process that a real construction estimator would actually use. First, it analyzes the drawings and asks you qualifying questions. Then it breaks the project down into structured scope categories, things like foundations, framing, and rough-ins, the same way that most builders will break down their estimates. We give it some guidelines to work from: how to write the scope for each section, a set of our cost codes, and we instruct it to do takeoffs directly from the plans. And from there, it starts generating three outputs: a structured construction estimate with written scope descriptions, unit quantities, and costs that you can drop right into your spreadsheet template or into Buildwise, an inclusions, exclusions, and assumptions document that you can pair along with the proposal, and an allowances list that you can share with your client and designer to keep them on track with their selections. So this isn't AI just randomly guessing numbers. It's following a structured estimating process, the same one that I used to use. The only difference is that Claude's now doing the work for you while you do something else. And again, the skill is linked in the description below if you want to try it out in your own account. All right, so let's build the skill. I'm going to start by opening up Claude Cowork. Now, it's important to note that you'll actually need a paid account to use this, because you won't be able to access the function of Cowork or the skills builder that we're going to use today. But honestly, this tool is so worth it. So I implore you to just sign up for a month, give it a try, and see how you like it. So the first thing we do once in Cowork is to tell Claude that we want to build a new skill. Claude will ask you a simple question: what is the skill about? This is where you describe in plain language what you want the system to build. Something like create a skill that analyzes residential construction drawings and generates a custom home estimate. But Claude's also going to need more context behind the system. Now, as I just showed you a moment ago, the context used to live in this big mega prompt that you would actually paste right into the chat function in Claude. But Cowork has this really cool feature called connectors, which means that you can actually connect other tools that you use. In my case, Notion. So I can just give it access by dropping the link right in the chat. Now, when I did this initially, I kind of skipped that step, so I just pasted the full prompt in there. You can use either method, but connectors is a very powerful feature. Just note that when you use connectors with Claude, you'll have to actually go through an authorization process. In my case, I've already done that, so it's not prompting me to do that. Now, once Claude's consumed that document, it automatically starts populating a list of steps that it needs to go through. And you'll see that list in the upper right corner of your screen. These are the stages and steps that Claude plans to go through in order to build the skill that you're asking it to build. At the same time, it's going to start asking you some qualifying questions. That's because at this point, it still knows very little about how you actually want to estimate projects. So it's basically just trying to get its bearings. I started answering those questions, but I also took the opportunity to tweak the prompt based on feedback that you guys gave me. Some things worked and other things didn't. And since my goal here is to create a skill that you can download right into your Claude account and use to produce professional construction estimates in 30 minutes or less, I took this opportunity to actually improve it. Now at this stage, this is where the real work starts to begin. Now here we went back and forth for quite a while Claude built the skill framework and then tested different parts of the process as it built it. Now during that process, I realized it needed additional context, so I actually gave it the script to one of my other videos on the 6 writing styles of construction estimates. And that video explained how I actually break down and write the scope descriptions for all 36 categories in a construction estimate that I used to produce. And here's the real magic: Claude was able to store this as a style guide so they can reference it every single time that the skill is initiated. Now, over the next hour or so, we continued to refine the system. Claude would build part of the skill, run tests, and then I'd give it feedback based on the outputs. Eventually, we finalized the skill once it was giving me the outputs I wanted, and even built a custom onboarding process for new users. Now, as you build the skill in Claude, the last thing you need to do is actually add it to your skill bank, because right now we're just generating it, but you actually have to copy it into your skills. Claude will copy it right into it, and you can actually see all the other skills in your account right here. So head down to the description in this video, download the skill, and open up Claude. Navigate to the Cowork tab along the top, and remember, you'll need a paid account to be able to access this. Next, hit Customize and then Skills. Click the plus sign to add the new skill and select the Upload a Skill option. Now you can see that Claude has found the existing skill in my skill directory, so I'm not going to replace it, but this is actually where you'd be prompted to just add it to your skills. So pick the file from your downloads folder and bam, you've literally just replaced an $80,000 per year estimating position with a $28 per month AI assistant. Now, before we do this test run and execute the skill, we need to prepare a few things that Claude's going to ask us for. The first thing is a cost code set. This needs to be in CSV format, and you need to add a column on the far right side for COG, or cost of goods sold. You're going to populate this category with either labor, material, or trade partners, or whatever vernacular or vocabulary that you want to use in your estimate. If you're putting it into Buildwise, we have a set standard. If you're putting it into another tool, use those formats that exist in that tool. The reason that we do this is we want to instruct Claude, give it a jumping off point for what we usually self-perform versus what we subcontract out, and which areas or cost items that we'll put in, such as like plumbing fixtures, should always be listed as materials. Next is a sample estimate for how you actually write scope descriptions using the exact same cost code set. That's very important, and you can have this in a CSV or an Excel format. Third, a set of drawings for the project, ideally the most current and updated ones. And finally, any notes that you have on the project. This step is optional, but if you have any background context, it's always going to help Claude do a better job initially. Once you're ready, we'll launch the skill in Claude. Type something like, "Hey Claude, let's use the construction estimating skill to estimate a construction project." Now this is where it'll go through your onboarding process, particularly if you haven't ever used it before. For me, since I've already used it, it's going to confirm some of the settings I've already put in place. First, the CSV format for the export. For my case, it's going to be Buildwise. It's going to confirm the unit types that I've used in the past, the COG types for my cost codes, and the standard writing types from the sample estimate that I uploaded when I built the skill. So first, I updated the unit types so they actually would match the ones I have in Buildwise. Second, I uploaded a revised cost set with additional changes to the cost of goods category. Then Claude said it was ready to go and asked me to drop in the drawings. Now this step is where Claude will carefully go through every single drawing that you have. It'll actually build a scope of work document first before it tries to attempt building the estimate. Now previously, without this step, the estimate wasn't that accurate. And that's because it was trying to do two jobs at once, write the scope and cost the project. By separating them, Claude actually does a much better job extracting the scope properly before it starts building the estimate. Now, I even tried to play a little trick on it here by not uploading the full set. I left out the interior elevations, millwork, and structural plans. And the cool thing is, it caught it. After reviewing what I had uploaded, it asked for the missing drawings. And at the same time, it went through the initial questions to qualify the size and complexity of the job. Once it had everything it needed, it went to work building the scope extraction document. We've set this skill up so it'll produce it in a Microsoft Word file. Now this step is important. Once it actually generates the document, you should open it in Microsoft Word, go through the scope, make any changes that you want, save it, and re-upload it to Claude. This ensures it'll build the estimate correctly. And once that's done, Claude takes over and builds your three outputs: the estimate, the allowances document, and the inclusions, exclusions, and assumptions document. It took a bit of time, but now let's look at the actual estimate. It followed my cost code structure perfectly, and it did a great job of weaving in the 6 writing styles I uploaded in the sample estimate previously. And honestly, some of these unit costs are actually quite close to what the job actually cost. For reference, this project landed at about 1.68 million, so it wasn't really that far off. Now let's check out the allowances document. Like I mentioned before, we use this and share this with our homeowners and designers to keep them on track with their selections. Now on this specific project, the architect had actually done a really good job specifying a whole bunch of stuff that were in all of the schedules and the drawings, so you'll see a lot of things actually populated here as opposed to being outstanding decisions. Lastly, let's check out the inclusions, exclusions, and assumptions document. Wow, this is actually pretty nice. I've worked with a lot of AI outputs, and in all fairness, like usually the content isn't that good and the presentation is pretty terrible, but both the content and presentation look pretty good in this document. I feel like this is probably good enough to just add as an attachment or just paste into your estimating software that you're using. Now for me, I'm using Buildwise, so let's walk you through how I actually upload this into the system. I'll start by navigating to the project, clicking Add Estimate. I'll title the estimate, and then I'll click the Upload from CSV button. It takes a moment, and just like that, the entire estimate is uploaded into the system. Let's take a look at it. You can see that all the cost codes came through as expected. All the scope descriptions are here, and the formatting is intact. Now, you'll likely want to read through the content, maybe tweak some of the formatting, and certainly probably adjust some of the values that you see. Think of this like revising your estimator's work, or as I like to think about it, the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Claude has done the 80% of the heavy lifting, and your value comes in the 20% that you do to review the bid, tweak it, and make sure it's ready to present to your clients. But before we do that, we need to actually paste in the inclusions, exclusions, and assumptions information. Now, like I mentioned a moment ago with the allowances document, you have two options. You could just add it as an attachment, or in our case in Buildwise, I can paste it directly into these text boxes that we have in the proposal feature. So I'll start by taking the inclusions text and pasting it into the inclusions box. Then I'll navigate over and grab the exclusions content, paste it there. Then I'll go back and grab the assumptions content and paste it right underneath what I just pasted in the exclusions text box. And the last step is to bring in the allowances information. Same two options here. I'm actually going to choose to add this as a PDF attachment just to the end of the document here because it's not really the focal point of the actual bid itself. And just like that, we've gone from a set of drawings to a structured estimate uploaded into Buildwise, ready to present to your clients in about 30 minutes or less. And the best part is I literally did no estimating here. This is completely game changing. Now, before we wrap up, two other quick tips that's going to make working with Claude even better. First, don't feel like you need to type everything. You can speak to Claude just like you would with a team member when you're answering questions or giving feedback. For example, I speak at about 200 to 210 words per minute, but at best I type about 60 words per minute. So that's more than a 3x increase in speed. I've configured my Claude so you just hit the caps lock button, speak to Claude, hit it again, and it'll transcribe it. And it honestly has really good transcription skills, not like my voice to text on my iPhone. Second, while Claude is working on processing the information or building the outputs, go and do something else so you're more productive. That's because it's going to take some time to run, so you don't want to just sit there and watch it actually build these outputs. Just keep going back and checking on it to see if it has any questions or whatever prompt it needs you to give it next. Now, if you want to try this yourself, I dropped the estimating skill in the link in the description below. Download the file, install it into your Claude Cowork, and you can start using this entire estimating process on your projects. Give it a shot and let me know how it works for you in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.